Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Hey everybody.
Hey everyone.
My name is David Bell.
I'm Tom Ryman.
Who are you, sir?
I'm Adam Todd Brown.
And we just watched Mandy.
Oh, Mandy.
You came and you gave without taking.
I was going to say the Patinkin documentary. Mandy.
The
Sent you away, Patinkin.
the live action Mandy Moore album.
Yes.
Mandy.
All of these things.
Under the crimson, primordial sky, the wretched warlock reached into the dark embrace. His fist closed around the serpent's eye. Strange and eternal. I need you to get me that girl I saw. You know what to do.
So, what'd you guys think of this movie? It's been out for a little while.
Been out for a little bit. It had
It's
a
in
very
theaters.
limited release.
Yeah, it's a limited release, but it's available to stream, and everybody should check it out.
Yeah, you can
Which-
rent it.
Kind of reveals what I think of this movie.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, I fucking loved this
I
movie.
really enjoyed
We've been
Mandy.
so excited to watch this movie ever since it was a movie that deserved more hype on Hypecast.
Right. It's
Man, what a fucking movie. It's
It's so good. And it makes me want to see the guy's other movie.
yeah.
yeah, even
Beyond
though
the
his
Black
other movie was
Rainbow.
not as well reviewed.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's just as crazy. I remember seeing the trailer for it, and I might have actually written about it at some point. And it looked really good, and I just never got around to seeing it. It's actually, no, I wouldn't have written about it because it's about 8 years old.
All right, then.
Oh, yeah.
You're a liar.
Yeah, I'm a liar.
You-
Turns out you fib.
But I
And
do
there's
remember
no
the
way you
trailer.
would have written about it other than the year it came out.
Well, for Cracked, for the movies that deserve more hype, it would have had to have been coming out.
oh, I see.
Yeah. But it looks really neat, and I can't wait to see the next film in 8 more years. What this guy's gonna
this
do.
movie was so crazy.
Yeah.
It's bananas.
Yeah, it is every
The best
minute
kind.
of 2 hours long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I watched it high,
That's how you should watch.
which I think you should do. It's the visuals.
it's a beautiful movie.
Yeah. It's so fucking pretty to look at.
It's
Hard to describe.
It's very hard to describe. In a way, it's a very straightforward story, but it's done very surrealistically.
It's like if The Shape of Water was a revenge film.
Kind of.
Sure. Yeah.
It's even more like because it's even more surreal than that.
Well, yeah.
Which is saying quite a bit.
It has that throwback like old film look, but not so much that it really annoyed me. It was just a little grainy.
Yeah.
I had no idea it was a period movie until the movie starts. It begins with Nicolas Cage at his logging job, which is the best.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then he gets into his old whip antenna truck and is driving home, and then he's listening to talk radio, and I'm like, is he listening to Ronald Reagan? Is he spinning the old Reagan hits?
Yeah, it's the Pandora channel.
Yeah. And it comes on. It's like 1983. I'm like, oh, no, there you have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this director's other movie is set in 1983 also. So what the fuck happened to this guy in 1983?
I can tell you
Apparently
what
something
happened to
real
this
gnarly.
guy in 1983. I was born.
Also born that year, Chicken McNuggets.
Really?
I remember I was 7. Pivotal time in my life.
Was a defining
And that was the
moment.
good kind that were mostly like gristle and connective tissue before they started making them all white meat.
Right.
They still gave you like the ground up tendons and
Yeah.
Yeah, where you might find something. You might
ligature.
find something fun in there.
You're definitely going to find some flavor.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
So this movie it's a little. I will say if you're someone who sucks and doesn't like movies that are a little slow at first, because this is a little slow at first, but it's all character shit. Like it's not. I won't call it slow.
It's
because
very,
it's just very character stuff. They
is
introduce the cultists. They introduce Mandy. They introduce Nicolas Cage, who I don't. Does he have a name in this?
Red.
Red, right?
Red.
And he's like acting.
Yeah,
Nicolas Cage.
it's weird to see Nicolas Cage act.
Yeah. And I realized watching it a second time, they set up a lot of stuff
Yeah.
with what their conversations are. It actually makes sense, the movie, like in a weird way. Like justifying his revenge and stuff. And like they start with the wife who's reading those like that crazy novel.
Yeah,
that's
she's
really
reading
over the
like
top.
sorcerer fiction.
Yeah, and it's also she wears all these heavy metal shirts, and her favorite planet is Jupiter, and like the movie just sort of it's a revenge movie, where Nicolas Cage is at his most Nicolas Cage, but like when he starts doing the revenge, it pretty much embodies all that shit she's into. Like metal and like that same like the style, the look of the film.
Well,
is
even
kind
the
of
dream sequences were drawn almost like
Right.
a heavy metal cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the dream sequences are animated in this film.
Right.
Yes, this movie is so
Which is
fucking
convenient.
nuts.
Yeah.
'Cause
This
then you
movie is
really-
fucking
Yeah.
nuts. Yeah.
Then you really know when he's just dreaming.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
but then also like the actual landscapes are so like because there's too many planets and like the sky is this
Yeah.
weird
right.
purplish reddish color.
Yeah,
It's,
this-
this movie is
looks-
detached from reality, but it has a narrative thread that is firm and easy to follow. It's just,
Right.
I mean, it's
It
a
looks
very
like
artsy
a crazy
movie. I don't know.
fucking music video or an album.
It looks like a progressive rock album cover, is what it looks
Yeah.
like all the time.
Right. It just looks very pretty.
Yeah,
I think we're supposed to be seeing most of it through the lens of being on those drugs that the cult is on, because the only time it doesn't look all that weird is when Nicolas Cage gets back home after having been
Right. And
tied up.
he takes the drug at one point.
And then at
it
one
gets-
point he takes it, which I love that scene where
Yeah.
he just like
and his face melts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Temple of, or Raiders style.
Raider style.
But that was kind of because when the cult first sees her, everything is red. And then when they take her and you're seeing it kind of from her vantage point, everything's also red.
Right.
But then so is she, because the cult's on the same drugs that she is.
Yeah, I feel like it starts before that, though. I could be wrong.
I don't know. It's the part when they're first at. It's all exaggerated when they're first
Yeah,
at their
it's all-
little
it's all
cabin and they're
very
in
heightened.
love, and they show the sky. The sky is just like insanely pretty, and I think very colorful.
It looks like Dune.
But it definitely
and
gets
it looks
more like
you mean that
hellish.
it looks like fire. There's a
Right.
scene. There's a scene in the beginning where they show the sky, and it's coming over the house,
Okay.
and it looks like there's fire
There's
coming
a
over the house.
Few of those moments, because fire plays a big role in this movie.
Right.
There's
Yeah,
a part
it
where they
does.
go camping or they go fishing, and I think camping, and he's
It looks like it,
because
yeah.
it's very disjointed the way they shoot it, which I like because it feels like you're almost like living in a memory.
In the beginning, it is.
yeah,
While
yeah.
they're setting up sort of their,
Oh, yeah,
their
wha-
relationship.
Yeah,
At
it's like
once-
dreamy and
Yeah, because
and
it's
then-
just showing us their relationship, and like so the scenes don't really seem to connect at first.
They
it's
don't
just
need
like
to because you get the idea.
right.
of,
You are seeing, like you said, it's like memories or like photos in a photo album.
Yeah.
You're seeing little
Yeah.
snippets of their life together as husband and wife.
But he's looking at her swimming, and he's looking at her through the fire.
Yeah.
So it's her on fire, which eventually becomes a thing that happens.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm.
There's no reasoning with the cleansing power of fire.
Yeah.
There is not. I was pleasantly surprised by two things specifically about this film. One, I mean, from the trailers and the general plot summary of the film, you pretty much know that the titular Mandy is going to be killed.
Right.
But I was surprised that you spend about an hour with her character before it happens.
That was
Yeah.
the thing is that
It's like she's a real character.
they knew they wanted to set up, and that's what I say is that I think people would watch the trailer, and there's going to be people who are like, just want to see like Taken, and they're going to be
Right.
thrown off by the fact that it's
This
very
is not that,
artistically
yeah.
done and very well done, and then spends a lot of time to justify his revenge of like I'm glad they don't kill her in the first 10 minutes, and then it's just
Right,
over
yeah.
the top.
Yeah.
And the second thing is it's not not what it so often is in these movies, where it's like a fucking sexual assault and then a murder.
Right.
Yeah. It's not a torture porn kind
Yes.
of thing.
No, there's I don't even think there is nudity, but it's just the cult leader.
It's the cult leader's dick.
And it's the scene where
it's
he looks
an
ridiculous.
amazing scene.
It's such a good scene.
All right, that's the thing, is that they even like I never felt bad watching this, even though Mandy dies, because she, again, the whole movie is like centered around like, this feels like it's her from the afterlife dictating what happens based on her, like her characters kind of throughout the movie. But also like he shows his dick and she just laughs at him
just
and tells him to
laughs.
fuck
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
So he sets her on fire, but she's not like begging for, they never show her like begging for her life or anything. They show her just being like, fuck you. And like, and then she gets murdered.
Yeah, and then she's burned.
And then
in a
Nicolas
sleeping
Cage
bag.
is like, well, fuck you. And like
Yeah.
starts going like, so both characters just seem like crazy badasses.
It's I'm gonna sound weird when it's a weird. It was weirdly. I mean, the whole
Erotic?
movie is like it's very, very powerfully
The
erotic.
whole movie.
Particularly
Yeah.
later with the biker mutant who has the lust murder penis.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it was like weirdly. I don't want to say. I mean, the whole movie is it's a very pretty movie to look at, and it was like weirdly touching when, I mean, or at least not touching, but like very emotionally effective when Nicolas Cage finally gets free of his barbed wire. He's been crucified with barbed wire.
Yeah. That's
And
hard to watch.
Yeah.
It's pretty rough. It's more difficult to watch than the actual murder of Mandy because you're just seeing a sleeping bag getting burned
And
there's
his
no-
Yeah.
reaction.
and there's no
Again,
sound. You're just hearing
Yeah. I
music.
can't stress enough. Nicolas Cage is acting.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He also goes 100% Nicolas Cage.
That's the thing. You get
Yeah.
the full. You get the
You get the
full
full
fucking
Cage spectrum.
of
Yes.
Cage.
What's the line?
You ripped my shirt.
I
ripped
watched
my
it
shirt?
twice and could not figure out what he was saying.
I watched it on captions, and I was glad I did.
You ripped my shirt. And of course, we see the reason why he cares so much about that shirt is we learn in the very, very end of the film where he's driving away covered in blood, looking like a maniac, and he flashes back to the scene. It's the shirt he was wearing when he met her.
Right.
Oh, I get it.
But he is able to free himself from the
Wait, it's a tiger shirt, right?
the 88.
Oh, okay. This is a different one.
They swap between the
Okay.
Tiger and the 88.
Got it.
Because if I had the tiger shirt on and someone ripped that,
Yeah.
I'd probably yell because that's a great
would.
fucking shirt.
They're both great shirts.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it's the 88 one where he's
Okay.
like, "You ripped my shirt," and he's like, "That's my favorite shirt." When he gets to the most, he's rummaging through the sleeping bag, and it's like, there's like the ash pile, but it
it's
sort
her
of looks like a
face.
sculpture of her face,
Yeah.
and then it like blows away.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit.
yeah.
It's like real effective.
And then I think the next thing he sees is that commercial. Or
the
is it-
fucking Cheddar Goblin commercial.
Yeah, what the fuck was
that is
that?
apparently the creator of Too Many,
Many
Cooks,
Cooks.
made that.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and what I do like about it is I think I understood it.
It's unsettling.
Well, it's unsettling, but it's also, you ever been like on acid watching TV or being like in tears and sad, and you just happen to see the TV and something amazingly inappropriate is happening at the same time as something like very serious in life. Like it was basically that, like the TV was left on.
Yeah.
He's having this extremely horrible moment. So it's just the exaggerated version of bullshit you'd see on TV that's so inappropriate. So it's just like fucking craziness.
It's sinister.
Yes.
Like
it's
there's
vomiting on the show.
what it is he sees a commercial on television which looks just like any other macaroni and cheese commercial you'd see, any goofy food they sell to kids.
Yeah.
It looks just like all those commercials, except it's Cheddar Goblin, and it's this weird looking fucking puppet goblin that is vomiting buckets of macaroni and cheese onto all these kids, and they're just like laughing and clapping and having a great time.
So of course you're going to stop and watch.
Right.
Yeah.
And at first it's like, what the fuck? Because it's clearly like, okay, this is funny.
Yeah.
But it's all, like the more you watch it, it's like it becomes sort of like viscerally unsettling.
This movie did a great job at being both funny and unsettling,
Yeah.
often at the same time, because skipping to the end, just the bad guy giving a monologue that goes into, "I'll suck your dick,
Yes!
man." That was such a
I
good...
hope somewhere there's a deleted scene of Nicolas Cage going, all right,
Yeah.
and then just killing him anyway.
Yeah. that was perfect for the revenge of that. They needed like that. They needed that to just burst out of that character in at least one moment
they make
of
him,
like.
in both moments
He's
where
like-
he's menacing our main characters, they make him ridiculous.
Yeah, that actor. I'm not sure that actor might have been more over the top than Nicolas Cage. I was describing him.
He's pretty over the top.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's him and Nicolas Cage competing who can be more Nicolas Cage,
more Nicolas
basically.
Cage.
And like, I would love to see them hang out and see what that was like on set.
He was a really effective cult leader.
Yeah.
was.
Like he played a cult leader really well. The scene, the Russian roulette scene, I thought was really fucking great.
I think all of the performances.
This movie is so fucking good.
Yeah.
So good.
When he gives the girl the gun and she's
Yeah.
like crying a little. And all the performance. I love the cameos of fucking what's his name, Bill Duke.
Bill Duke, Mac
Yeah.
from Predator.
Yeah,
How's Bill Duke not in more movies? He's still alive?
Yeah.
Like
I think-
that-
And he doesn't look bad.
I feel like what happened because that scene felt the least necessary. Because it's basically him just explaining to a guy what we already saw, where he's just like, Jesus freaks, they fucking burnt her. And then he gets his crossbow. But I feel like he could have just gotten that from a shed. And so I wonder if they just got Bill Duke and they were like, well, let's give him a scene. Let's give
Could be.
give
Well,
him
he
something.
also kind of explains who the bikers are and how
Oh,
to
you're
find
right.
them.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
We haven't even discussed the bikers yet, except for the
No.
fact that one of them has the lust murder penis.
yeah.
Yeah, the bikers all look like American Horror Story.
They look like
Plots.
Slipknot.
Yeah.
Yeah. They
Slip-
look like what Slipknot wants to look like.
Right.
Like, Yeah.
There's so much to talk about in
And
this movie.
I like that we never really know what's under. Like they don't
Yeah.
ever like you don't ever like pull the mask back and go, oh, that's a I mean, they bleed what looks like regular blood.
Right.
I think they're just dudes.
Yeah.
Like, and I like that's the weirdest part because when he's like gets kidnapped by one and he throws him in that weird pit and then he goes like upstairs and there's just a bathroom.
It's
and
a normal
like-
house.
It's a normal house and I was like, oh, these people are just living there. But then there's like a dead guy in there.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
the guy's just sitting there watching porn.
With his lust murder penis.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's the scene where like he's just had this big raging fight with one of them. And then he just walks up to another and shoots it in the neck with a crossbow, and it pulls it out and bleeds out, and he just keeps going.
Yeah.
Like I like that. I liked those bikers a lot because I never really knew what was going on.
Yeah, they're
underneath.
totally like. We meet them when like the cult leader who is Linus Roach, who was on Law and Order for a while, and he played Bruce Wayne's dad in Batman Begins.
Oh my God. He played Bruce Wayne's
Yeah,
dad.
it was Thomas Wayne.
Prepare to see the opposite of Bruce Wayne's dad.
As far removed from Bruce Wayne's dad as you
This
could possibly
gentleman
be.
needs to be in more movies.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was great.
He sends them out to he sends his underlings out to find the bikers so they can go kidnap Mandy, because the whole reason this movie happens is she just happens to be walking down the road and they see her and he's like, I have to have her. So he sends his underlings out. They blow into like this bone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Summon the bikers.
It is this movie is so great and so completely insane.
Yeah.
And
We
they
haven't-
show up.
I mean, we haven't even talked about the tiger scene.
Oh, the fucking tiger.
That's my favorite scene of the
With
movie.
another guy who's in Batman Begins.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's the guy who shoots Thomas Wayne in Batman Begins.
Yeah, it's fucking the guy from Doom.
Yeah, the guy from Doom.
But go finish your thought.
My thought was
first.
the bikers show up on these ATVs looking like medieval horror demons. They got one guy they look like the ghosts from 13 Ghosts. Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like spikes coming out. He gives
Slipknot.
them like a mason jar full of blood. And he just chugs it.
Yeah.
And then he's like, blood pays for blood. And they're like, okay, we'll give you the fat guy that we have.
Yeah, they just feed him this fat guy in like a 90s tracksuit.
That poor fat guy.
When they grab him, it's such like a vamping.
Yeah.
How did he even get in the group?
I think it's like a what we do in the shadows situation because
Yeah.
like when they first show the van of all of them, he really stands out.
He
like
really
he
does.
really seems like he doesn't belong there.
Yeah.
Like he's clearly the newest member or something.
Right, and they've recruited him specifically to feed him to the bikers of the apocalypse.
Right.
Knowing they'd need to do that someday.
Right.
In
Then
this
we need-
quaint small town that they live in.
Look, we're not never going to blow into the bone again. Like, we're going to see these bikers. So they come to Mandy and Red's house and kidnap them, and they tie Red up with barbed wire, and they drug Mandy with a drug and also a wasp.
Yeah. She
Like a
calls it the
giant
cherry
wasp.
on top.
Yeah. I think the first drug was like a date rape drug.
Yeah,
To
something.
incapacitate her.
Yeah.
And the wasp was the drug that kind of everyone was on.
It
like
was
the
a good
psychedelic.
Yeah, well, it was a good touch that when the lady cultist does the eye drop, she then licks the eye drop afterwards.
Yeah.
Like she's clearly just practically immune to this shit
Yeah,
at this
she's
point. She's
rolling
had so much-
24/7.
yeah.
Was that so? That wasp was just living there in that jar, or did she dip it in the jar?
I
so
think it was
could-
like
It was
preserved
inside
in
the jar, but then
yeah.
it was also like alive. So
it was
maybe
alive
like a
enough to
giant-
sting her. Like, couldn't you just draw that into a syringe?
I don't know.
and
cooler
just
this
way.
jab it in her neck?
It wouldn't have been as freaky.
Yeah, it was.
It's like,
that's
a
my
foot long wasp.
And then-
that's my nightmare.
Yeah.
Just the getting stung. The drugs, I'd be like, this is cool.
Yeah, give me that. Leave the eye dropper.
Yeah.
And then
Put that wasp away.
the cultist then does what I feel like has happened to a lot of young women in college. He then played his album and then whipped out his dick in the thing. Like,
Yeah.
it was basically like, check out my cool band, and
Yeah.
then just slowly
Check out
taking
my
off.
cool dick.
Yeah.
Check out my awesome dick. What do you think?
I loved that addition that he's just like, no, nobody, like he says something about how nobody appreciated the band, and so he became the cultist instead, and it's like,
He's
that's
so
perfect. That's
he's-
literally Charlie
yeah,
Manson,
right.
right? Like,
Yeah, it's Charles Manson. Yeah.
yeah.
But he's simultaneously, like you said, he's just every cheesy, pathetic
Yeah.
dude. Like he's so cheesy.
And the moment the robe comes off, you're like, there it is. There's
Yeah.
what the
Yeah.
whole cult is about.
And his
Like,
dick is like tiny and weird.
yeah, it's great.
And she laughs and
he-
laughs and laughs.
And then he starts freaking out. He's like, "Don't look at me!" Like yelling at the other cult.
That was the best part. And then he goes and looks himself in the mirror and is like,
He's
falling
crying.
apart.
His like mascara is smeared.
He gives himself a pep talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so undignified.
Never
It's
doubt
perfect.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then of course they set her on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the perfect villain move at that point.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
so pathetic, and then to just
He's just
murder
so-
her for laughing at his
You-
dick.
you really-
basically, and his band.
You really cannot hate him more.
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah.
did every hateable thing about fucking dweebs and dipshits
Oh, yeah.
and rolled into this dude.
And so Nicolas Cage watches.
Yeah.
They leave him there.
Yeah, just leave him there. Well, he's been
Big
stabbed
mistake.
too.
Oh, right. They assume he'll probably
yeah.
They gave him the Jesus stab.
Right, and then he's just so enraged that he gets out, and then there's the bathroom sequence. So that the
It's a single take. It's a single shot of him just tearing a bottle of vodka, I guess, out of the bottom
Something
drawer of this
clear, yeah.
bathroom and just drinking 3/4 of the bottle while crying in
Right.
his BVDs.
they sort of set this up because I realized at the very first scene when he's logging and he gets and he leaves the logging place.
Mm-hmm.
One of the coworkers is drinking a beer and offers it to him, and he just like very quietly just puts up his hand and like, nah. No, I'm good. And I like that of just like, no, I'm not gonna have a beer. And then like cut to him just demolishing this bottle of liquor
while
and
screaming in his
screaming.
underwear.
Yeah.
It makes sense for what he's just been through,
Oh,
but
yeah.
also it's pure Nicolas Cage.
And someone would have found that. Like he was presumably hiding that from Mandy, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe.
I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
I like
guess-
that they have little details like that, though, that it feels like there's some story behind it.
Yeah.
That is when he turns into
Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage. Like he's Nicolas Cage before that, but
Right.
this is like that transition into the Nicolas Cage.
This is his crime alley.
Yeah.
This is his
And then he does
radioactive
the
spider bite.
drugs
Yeah.
shortly after that, right?
After he tracks down the bike, well,
He
gets,
snorts cocaine off a mirror while his face is covered in blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, he goes talk to Bill Duke. Bill Duke tells him how to find the bikers. So he just lays out. It's like they were Jesus freaks. They also had muscle. These weird mutant. It just made no sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
And he's in the middle of nowhere. Everyone's going to know about. They would be an urban legend like the goddamn Jersey Devil.
these
The fucking leather bikers stay
On
out of the
ATVs.
woods.
rolling around eating people.
Oh, one of them would have died if they were real. Like anthropologists would have found them.
he just shoots one straight off his ATV with his crossbow and then hits him with his car.
He doesn't use the crossbow too much, but when he does, it's effective.
It's very effective, yeah.
He then forges an axe.
Oh, his fucking axe.
Does he even forge it? I thought he just found it like it was just on a shelf.
He forges it before he goes out to hunt.
And then he gets kidnapped.
And then he gets kidnapped and they
it's
take it from him.
Oh,
So
yeah,
then he
yeah,
takes it
yeah.
back. It's this crazy looking like dragon wing axe.
It looks like Jonathan Davis's microphone stand.
It sure does.
That's a reference everyone will get in 2018.
Yeah. And so it immediately goes bad for him, kind of, because like his first attempt.
Well, he successfully kills the guy, but in hitting him with his Bronco, it flips his Bronco. Like, that was a stout cannibal biker.
Yeah.
He had firmly planted himself in the ground.
Yeah, Bronco's hard to flip.
Yeah.
That's a big-ass car.
A lot of weight behind that car. Yeah, and then he finds himself in some weird trailer basement.
Yeah, and then he fights that.
He fights the skinny guy who comes back
Doesn't he have like
later.
a conversation with him?
Sorta. He says, like, I forget what he says. He's nailed. Oh, that's right. He's nailed to the floor. There's a nail through his hand.
Yeah, his one hand is handcuffed, the other is nailed to the floor.
Yeah, and he makes
gets
a noise.
the pipe. He gets to the pipe, and then he beats the guy.
The guy says something. I forget what it is.
I forget what he says to the guy.
But he hammers the shit out of him and he falls down a hole. But that guy comes back later somehow.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, he attacks the guys, and that's when the guy watching porn, he slits his throat, and the blood goes all over his face.
Just all
in
into his
mouth.
face.
And then he does the cocaine, and then he does the drug, and then it's just...
Mayhem.
Yeah, mayhem from there.
Total fucking mayhem.
I think that's when the skinny guy shows back up, and that's when his shirt gets torn. And he says, "You ripped my shirt!" It's an axe fight. He gets into a chainsaw fight.
A chainsaw fight that he wins by dragging it with a chain.
Yeah, he trips the guy who falls on top of a running chainsaw.
Right.
I really
It's
like...
incredible.
Well, doesn't he like fall and then Nicolas Cage pulls the chainsaw toward him?
The chainsaw's on the
something
ground.
like
He
that?
hits him with the chain and pulls him over with the chain.
Okay.
Right. I love how
Lots
this
of
is...
chains and chainsaws separately and also combined.
The closest thing we get to like a low point is Nicolas Cage having trouble turning on his chainsaw, because like he approaches that guy with the chainsaw all badass, and then he just can't get it on, and the guy just casually grabs a bigger chainsaw. It's
like
all
a
right.
9-foot chainsaw.
And then he gets his just in time to have a chainsaw fight. But I want to talk about the tiger scene.
Oh, yeah.
I forget. Okay, is this him also trying to figure out where the bad guys are?
Right. He wants to figure out where the cultists are, so he goes to this guy. I guess they call him the chemist.
Right, and
it's
he's making acid.
Yeah.
With a tiger. And he's just
Maybe
like,
he made the tiger too.
yeah, and he's just like, I know it's good when she's calm. And I forget the tiger's name.
I forget.
Damn it.
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. It's like a regular name, but I love that scene because it's just Nicolas Cage covered in blood, and he doesn't say a line.
He doesn't say a word.
And the guy on acid has a complete conversation with him. And the conversation, at first you think like, okay, this guy is acid, but then he like knows why Nicolas Cage is there and what he needs to do. So I love the beginning of him like introducing the tiger and then looking at me like, oh, you're right.
And then lets the tiger go.
And lets the tiger go.
So now there's just a tiger running around these woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so fucking good. Such a weird goddamn scene.
It's so insane. He just winds up having a perfectly reasonable encounter with this backwoods drug maker.
That's the other best part is then he looks at him, he's like, oh, they wronged you, man. Like, why did they have to do that? And just gives him the information. Like,
he tells
he's
him where their church is.
Yeah, he's just like, I can tell that you need to go do this thing. It's just such a and the set is like in this weird fucking bunker looking building.
It's all lit. I mean, it's again, the movie is very surreal. So
Yeah.
it's like in this place that can't really exist.
Right.
Because like the floors and the walls and the ceilings are all like fluorescent lights.
Yeah. I remember the trailer and that being the moment that I was like, I need to see this movie. where it was just like Nicolas Cage killing people in blood and then like tiger. And it was like, what?
So he tells them where to find their secret church. And that's where he shows up, has a chainsaw fight with the guy. He has
Right.
another real protracted fight with a guy where he has his axe and the other guy has just like these
Right.
hooks.
My favorite is the guy cleaning his waxing his car, and it just axe through the air. And
Yeah,
just hits him.
right in the dome.
Oh, and we haven't even talked about the
Right when he pulls over the right
the guy
hand
who
man.
says she like whores like burn the brightest or something. He says
Yeah.
something awful about her. He's the one who lights the match, I think.
Yeah, he's also the one who the cult leader sends out to get Mandy by blowing in the news team conch.
Quotes a Neil Young lyric when he dies.
And he dies by Nicolas Cage taking the butt of his axe, which is still sharp, and just slowly jamming it down his throat.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is fantastic.
Yeah, it is fucking metal.
Yep.
It's better to burn out than to fade. That's a quote from that movie.
Yes, it is.
End quote. Mandy, 2018.
This movie is filled with some of the best quotes I think ever.
Fucking, you ripped my shirt.
You ripped my shirt.
That's so good.
Then he lets the Russian roulette girl go.
Yeah,
it's
because
clear she's not into it.
She was upset when
Yeah.
they lit Mandy on fire.
Yeah, she was
too.
the only one that was upset.
Yeah, she's the only one who was like, I need to go back to school, or like
She was a cult leader cult
Yeah.
member who cares.
yeah.
Cult member with a heart of gold.
Yeah, she's like, man,
That
I need to
old
go
movie
back to
trope.
veterinary school. Really lost my way here.
My parents are gonna be so pissed.
I was going to be an X-ray technician. Now this.
That life can still be mine.
Oh my god.
So yeah, he goes into the bowels of the church,
And
which
then he
is like
meets the mini boss, sort of
the mini
cult-
boss, the
lady, the cultist lady.
the wasp.
Who
sting
he should have
dispensing
just. He could have fucked her
Right.
one time.
She gives a really hard sell about having sex with him.
And how she's the best because of her sensitivity.
Yeah, because of her empathy, and she can anticipate his needs. And
She
it's
says
like a
something
real
about like waves crashing on the shore.
on the hard rocks.
On the hard rock.
She makes it very explicit, and then it's just hard cut Nicolas Cage rolling her head into a rose.
throws her head at the cult leader.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that gambit did not work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that showdown with the cult leader.
That's a really it's a very long cut of or take rather of him it's just you can kind of see Nicolas Cage and it's just a close up of the cult leader's face where he's talking to him and these lights keep flashing.
Yeah, this red
it's
light.
a pulse.
It looks like they're in like
Yeah.
a weird like silo almost.
Yeah.
Like this very small room.
Yeah, they did that with the abduction scene too. There was like a strobe
You're right.
going
It was
off.
more
or
it was a
something.
strobe
Yeah.
in that scene. And this one it's like a slow
Yeah.
pulse. So it's not going to fuck up those of you who have epilepsy.
Yeah. The lights are always weird in this movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they mean something.
always
I don't
like-
know what
it
they
all
mean
looks
yet.
like
I need
it's-
to watch it a
everything
few more
looks like-
times.
The whole movie looks like it exists inside of a Christmas tree. Like it's just all bright reds and greens.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Nicolas Cage, I love him just like slowly approaching the guy. The guy's still doing his bullshit rants of being like, this is God's house. You can't touch me. And he grabs his fucking head, and the guy's still doing the rants. And then finally he's just like, what? He doesn't say, I'll suck your dick. What is the. Oh, he says something similar to that. But it basically
I
goes
think he
with,
does
it's
just-
no, it
the
starts
ver-
with, I'll fucking blow you, man.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Like
Yeah.
the most like desperate
dwindles.
beatniky sounding like
It's-
beg.
It's like a humiliating scene for him because he starts out by saying, I'm God, you can't hurt me here,
Yeah.
and then like I can help you. I'm your savior.
Yeah.
I'm the one you need. So you need God's love, and then it like dwindles down to I'll fucking blow you. Man.
I'll suck your dick. Is that what you want? Like,
He should have just let him for a little bit and then killed him.
right.
That would have been really
That would
good.
have been a
really
weird
special.
deviation, but yeah.
And then he crushes his head
Yeah,
in
and
his hands.
The performance is so good because he's crushing his head and he's making these sounds. The moment he crushes his head, he just gets calm, and
Yeah.
it's like it's like he just had an orgasm.
Yeah.
and he's just like, ah, and then just lights the church on fire in the most metal fucking way. Again, like this is just so fucking metal from beginning to end. And that, oh man, that setting, by the way, of in like a ravine,
Yeah.
and that wooden cool church.
It's like a quarry almost.
Yeah, Like that is a Norwegian black death metal band cover at
Yeah.
that point. Like
Oh yeah,
This whole
for
movie's
sure.
metal as
just this
shit.
ravine with the church on fire.
Yeah, and it's I loved that it was. There's so many revenge movies now.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like there's Peppermint just came out. That's another fucking
I haven't
revenge
seen that yet.
movie.
There's one that came out earlier this year that's just called Revenge, and it's actually pretty
Revenge
good,
is
too.
that yeah,
It's
Revenge
real
is
good.
really good.
I need to see it.
But
still.
I liked that it wasn't just that. I liked
Yeah.
all the cult elements and all the trippiness and
How
all the
fucking-
lights.
Yeah, it was so weird. It didn't change much. Like that was what's funny is he starts with like those bikers, and like he plows through. They really just gave enough bad guys so they could fill up that time. But like he cuts through them like butter every single
Yeah.
one
Right,
of
like
them.
once he like the guy with the chainsaw gives him the most trouble.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
he dispatches the others in about 20 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's the fucking most Nicolas Cage moment where he gets in the car and they do the flashback first, I think, to him meeting Mandy, and then
Yeah.
they do Mandy in the car next to him, and then
And
they
he's
cut
just
to
like,
the reaction.
The look on his face.
It's so good.
has this
Wide-eyed,
wide-eyed,
his mouth like
psychotic Nick
slightly
Cage.
open, only like half of his mouth is open.
If he was a country, that would be the flag.
Yes.
That would be the official Nicolas Cage seal.
That is him at his peak. That is the most Nicolas Cage I feel like he's ever been. Just with that crazy fucking look.
That should be a Halloween mask this year.
Oh,
like
my
a
God.
mass-produced Halloween, just a blood-faced Nicolas Cage, wild-eyed.
Staring at nothing. Staring
Staring
at
at-
phantoms. Just in his
Staring
car.
at his passenger seat.
and then he
I'm gonna go as that face for Halloween.
covered in blood.
Oh,
And then he drives off, and like the movie just needed one more moment of weirdness because it's just like you look at the landscape and it's now like alien rocks, like it's like weird and craggly, and then
Yeah.
it cut, and then you can just see two planets in space. I assume that's supposed to be like Jupiter,
it's Jupiter and Saturn.
and
I think.
Saturn. I
'Cause he
assume
said
because
his favorite was
has-
Saturn.
Well, he says his favorite then is Galactus, but yes,
Right, that was Nicholas.
Well, he's
Cage
still a little
sneaking-
high.
that was
when
the
he's driving
improv.
on.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like that's the other thing I like about it is the imagery matters.
Yeah.
It wasn't just weird. It was like this all kind of ties together, and I'm sure there's shit that you're gonna miss, like the
Yeah,
third
there's-
time you watch it.
this-
and you
it's-
like
reminds me so much of seeing. I mean, in a good way of seeing like an artsy film,
yeah.
like
Well,
an art
it's-
house film, because there's a lot of moments in this where I'm like, that means something.
Yeah.
I like a
to
good.
come back to.
I've
this.
always liked artsy films, but I especially like artsy films who are still like, well, we're entertainment.
right.
too.
This is
Yeah.
still a movie.
Like
Yeah.
we're gonna be artsy, but let's give them what they want to see, which is Nicolas Cage murdering people in
With an axe
gnarly
that he
fucking
made.
ways. Yeah,
yeah,
that's always nice. My God,
with his alien predator axe that
Yeah.
he brought from home.
he must have had the plans. He must have like never gotten around to making that axe, and he was like, "Now's
Wait,
the
what
time."
compelled him to make that mold?
It was probably like a project. He's a lumberjack.
That's
So
true.
he's probably
Yeah.
really into axes.
He's like,
Maybe
this,
he was going to be on this season of Forged in Fire.
Yeah,
He's like, this is really gonna frighten those trees.
yeah.
Your blade will murder cult leaders.
Oh shit!
It's so
What
good.
a film.
Yeah,
film.
people should see this.
Oh
We
yeah,
should
there's,
absolutely see
there's
this.
no reason not to watch this, even if you've listened to us
Even-
talk about it.
I mean, even if you're squeamish, this is a weird thing: is that it's gory technically, but it's like
Yeah.
Monty Python gore. Like it's over the top.
There's just a lot of gushing blood.
Yeah,
it takes a while to get gory too.
yeah. The grossest part was the macaroni and cheese goblin to me.
Honestly,
that was
yes.
the most disgusting part of this movie.
That had the most visceral reaction from me.
Yeah,
and
if I,
think,
were eating while watching that, I'd be like, "Well, I'm done. I'm
Yeah.
done
I
with
had
this
enough
food."
sense when I sat down to start Mandy. I was like, I probably shouldn't be eating anything
Right.
when I watch this. But I feel like the reason that commercial is in there is because that's the moment when like Nicolas Cage can see the world between the world. You know what I mean?
Right?
Yeah.
Like he's seeing beyond the veil now.
Right.
So it's like he sees this commercial that's totally normal to everybody else. He's like, this is weird and insane.
Right.
And it's the insanity that's
It's true
everybody in
because the world has
universe
just changed there.
is mainlining. Yeah.
I love when they're before that when they're watching a really cheesy movie and they're both so into it. Like some really bad
yeah.
like 80s movie on TV.
Oh yeah, that's a real movie.
Yeah, yeah. It looked like a real movie. I just loved how into it they were.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that was how you watched movies then.
Right.
Like in 83, like
Right.
my dad was actually, I was late getting to the hospital when I was born because my dad was watching Frogs, the 1972 horror film Frogs.
That's great.
And my mom went into labor and he was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Frogs is on.
It makes sense because back then it was when's the next time you get to watch Frogs?
When are you going to see it?
Yeah.
It was a completely different time.
Yeah, and for all you know, this is how it's going to be forever. Like
Right,
you don't
yeah.
know that there's going to be home video and then streaming and DVDs later.
Yeah.
Right.
This is what the world you have to deal with.
I finally forgave my dad when VHS became a thing.
Yeah.
You gave him a copy of Frogs. That would have been the ultimate.
I've still never seen that movie.
I don't think you need to.
Yeah,
I've never
probably
seen
not.
it either. It's a movie that I've frequently been part of a group that was like, dude, we should watch Frogs. That just never happens.
Never. Yeah. Why would you?
Yeah. But you should watch Mandy.
Mandy.
You
Watch
should
it.
watch
Watch
Mandy.
the
Holy
shit
shit.
out of Mandy.
Do we have any final thoughts about this?
I hope this is somewhat of a resurgence for Nicolas Cage, just in terms of people seeing him in a movie and going, all right, I'll check that out. Nicolas Cage is in it.
Well,
I feel like there's just been some unnecessary backlash against him because he's a crazy person, but some
Right.
crazy people can act. Gary Busey's probably still a good actor.
yeah. Nicholas
He's just
Cage,
nuts.
He had some money problems. He spent money the way I would personally spend
Yeah.
money. And I can't fault him for that.
Artifacts.
So yeah, he's in every shitty
Right.
thing, and
I would buy comics and dinosaur skulls.
Yeah.
so he has this incredible range between the quality of his movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he definitely like watching like adaptation. It's like holy shit, this is him acting. Like he's an actor, he can
Right.
act. But he also is a weird guy, and like this is when that works in his favor because I can see Nicolas Cage being fucking on board of this movie.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
he
yeah.
gave this movie everything because he probably saw Beyond the Black Rainbow and was like, "Oh yeah, fuck yeah, I'm gonna work with this guy." Like, I mean, why wouldn't you? And that's man, I'm so excited to see what this director does because it's still it like yes, it looks pretty and it's weird, but like the performances are good. Like he's
Right.
he across the board everything he did as a director was good. Like I'm really excited about this director, and I hope he doesn't just make a movie every 8 years. It's
Yeah.
like one movie per president,
That's
Yeah.
all you get.
which is yeah.
Yeah, it's just a consistently good movie from beginning to end. A little slow in the beginning, but
Yeah.
you need all
it's,
that.
it's definitely a
Deal with
more
it.
it's
Yeah.
more moody and stuff. Like you can look at your phone for like a minute and look back up and not miss much.
right.
But you at the same time you sort of do because it's just very pretty. Probably get high before watching this. I haven't done
I
that.
was
Yeah.
not.
I was not either. I didn't need to be, but I bet that's pretty fun.
Chief it up.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
This
Cool.
movie is effective no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is good no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's a show.
Yeah. Adam, do you want to plug in?
Patreon.com/unpops.
Yeah.
Also, we just started a daily news podcast called Unpops Every Day. Go listen to me not talk about politics for a change on that because we talk about so many politics everywhere else.
Yeah.
Well, their politics are just everywhere.
It's pretty important stuff to talk about these days.
I was thinking,
but we
'cause-
also need to talk about dogs with 3D printed skulls and things of that nature.
Very important as well.
Yeah.
Like their skulls are.
Well, this it was a good girl named Patches. She was a
Okay.
9-year-old dachshund, and she had a brain tumor that gave her a head that looked like she had a Morrissey pompadour.
That's
So I
cute.
called her Mudassy on the podcast. And
Solid.
they
It's
were
kind of content you're missing out on if you're not
Yeah.
checking it out.
exactly. And they removed part of her. They had to remove 70% of her skull to take this tumor out, and instead they 3D printed a replacement patch of skull for Patches.
Aw.
Put it back together, and
Good dog.
she immediately slipped a disc in her back and was paralyzed.
Oh, no.
Week after the surgery.
Oh no.
Can they 3D print her a disc?
Well, they just need to. They
You
just
think?
need to forge an axe and murder the doctors.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what you do.
Yeah, that's what you do. From
Grab
now
him.
on, that's what you do.
Grab them by the face until they say, "I'll fucking blow you, man."
You hurt my dog? You hurt my dog?
Ah, what a film.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.